First of all, again, thanks for joining us. My name is Mike Morgan. I work in the Sports Information Office in Lindenwood, and I'll be kind of the mediator today for the coaches. First thing we're going to do is we're just going to go down the line. A lot of you know who these people are, but for some of you that don't, we'll just give a quick introduction. Directly to my left is Randy Cole. He's the head cross-country coach here at Lindenwood. He's starting his second season at Lindenwood. Randy came to Lindenwood from the University of Wyoming, where he was the head coach, and before Wyoming, he was the head coach at Kansas State. In 1998, he was named the Big 12 Coach of the Year. Next to Randy is Lori Kaminsky. She is entering her 9th season already as head coach of the Lady Lions soccer program. In her 8 years at Lindenwood, she's compiled a record of 77, 57, and 14. 6 out of her first 8 years, she has compiled at least a 500 winning percentage or better in 8 of the first 9 years. Next to ski is Ron Young. He is the second longest tenured coach up here on the panel. He's been at Lindenwood for 15 years. This is his 15th season on campus. This is the first year Ron gave up the duties of coaching the men's team, so he's concentrating fully on the women's duties. At Lindenwood, between the two teams, he's won 666 matches, so we need to get a win early to get the 666 off your record. So hopefully this weekend you can get rid of that 666. Ron, with the women's program, he has a record of 324 and 128 during his time at Lindenwood. And between the men's and women's programs, he's won 12 conference championships and a national championship with the men's program. Next to Ron is Coach Ross, football coach. Is in his 10th season already at Lindenwood. Seems like the other day he just got hired. And 10th season starting at Lindenwood. He has a record of 82 and 26 at LU. He's won 76% of his games he's coached in here at Lindenwood, and became the winningest coach in school history in like 2007. Didn't take him very long to become the winningest coach at Lindenwood. Has taken the program to postseason play in the team's first year of D2 last year in the Mineral Water Bowl. Took the team to the NAI National Championship in 2009, and also has been in the NAI National Tournament 6 times in his career at Lindenwood. Next to Pat is Coach Hutter. Carl Hutter has been here at Lindenwood for 20 seasons. He's the longest tenured coach at Lindenwood. To be honest, I'm not sure how he's lasted that long. But he's been here for 20 seasons. He has a record of 82-26 at Lindenwood, 276, 110, and 26 at Lindenwood. He's won a national championship. He's won 5 conference championships and 3 regional titles in the NAI. And in his first season at the D2 level, won the MIAA Conference Tournament Championship and the MIAA Regular Season Conference Championship. So Carl's having a lot of success early in the D2 level. And last but not least, Sarah Johnson, field hockey coach here at Lindenwood. Yes. She is starting her 3rd season at Lindenwood. In 2012, she led the program to the biggest turnaround in all of D2 field hockey programs. Her team won 8 more games from the previous season, so that was the biggest margin of any Division II field hockey team in all the country. And so Sarah Johnson starting her 3rd season here at Lindenwood. Now we're going to go kind of coach by coach, and they're going to give us kind of a brief synopsis of their season coming up. We'll ask them a couple questions, and then we'll let you guys out in the crowd ask some coaches some questions. First, we're going to start with Randy Cole here to my left. Coach, already start your season tomorrow. You guys will take on Truman in a duel in St. Charles. Just tell us a little bit about what you're kind of expecting from your team this year.
We've got a few good veterans coming back, but a nice talented young bunch coming in, mostly freshman, sophomore squad. So just like any season, we're using each meet as a stepping stone towards the conference championships. And I think we'll be in the upper half of the conference this year. But we're excited to kick off the season tomorrow down at Blanchette's Landing, down on the Katy Trail. Just a nice low-key dual meet with Truman State. It's a short course. It's 4,000 meters. The men usually run
4,000 is not very short.
Well, yeah, it's 2.5 miles. The men usually run a 5 mile or 6.2 mile. The women usually run 5K or 6K. So for them, it's short. For most everybody else, it's a little long.
Tell us a couple of names that we can expect to see throughout the season.
Ben McGraw from Hazelwood. He's a senior. He's a returning all-conference selection. He's really prepared himself well, so I think he'll be one of the top runners in the conference this year. Brady Novak from Hannibal is a sophomore, really good speed. I think those are our top 2 returnees. Nick Stewart from McClure North is someone to keep an eye on. I think both in cross country and track, he's going to set some marks for Lindenwood as we go on. On the women's side, Courtney Hydorn from Freeburg, Illinois is our top senior, and she's going to do some good things for us. And then some top newcomers, Ann Chirotich from Kenya is going to get going. She's got to get her health insurance lined up for sports medicine. And then I think Amanda Brisso from Francis Howell is going to help us out too. She's got good experience. So it's a nice mix with some top-notch leaders, but then the young kids are going to come on and help us out too.
So cross country starts tomorrow night, 5:30, down around the Katy Trail in Blanchette Park.
Actually, 5 o'clock with the women's race, and then the men at 5:30, and we'll be done and get ready for a kickoff at 7, I believe.
Very good. All right, let's go down to the end, and Sarah Johnson now. Sarah, we'll do you second now since we did it last, the introduction. So you guys start out this weekend. You're at Millersville, and the Lady Lions will be back home for their first home game on September 21st. They take on Ball State. And Sarah, talk a little bit about last season, just about the turnaround you guys had from last year. You went, like I said, the best turnaround at all of Division II a season ago.
Yeah. I think last year was really big for us, just in a sense of the girls worked really hard, and we kind of wanted to start a new tradition at Lindenwood with being competitive, being committed, and it really, the girls really stepped up, and as a coaching staff, we really forced them to kind of buy into the new tradition that we wanted to set for Lindenwood field hockey. And I mean, last year was great. We ended great, but I think it's important that we take that and move forward to this year, focus on our opponents this year, and use it as fuel, but also to say, we've started to make a name for ourselves. Now we have to prove that we deserve that name.
Tell us a little bit, a couple names we might see, some of your top players and maybe some newcomers.
We have our leading goal scorer back, Christy O'Connor. She's a senior this year, so we expect some pretty big things from her. But also our starting goalkeeper, Victoria Gill. And we have some great senior leadership that we will see on the field, as well as a lot of our freshmen and sophomores, Carly Brangos, Megan Pranger, just a lot of young talent that we know will see a lot of playing time. And so hopefully they'll do big things for us this year.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Good luck this weekend. Now let's move back down here to Ski, the women's soccer coach, and the Lady Lions kick off this weekend at home, the Embassy Suites Classic at Lindenwood. Lots of soccer going to be played on the Hunter Field this weekend, starting on Saturday. Lady Lions will take on Northwest Oklahoma State on Saturday, and then on Monday we'll take on crosstown rival University of Missouri St. Louis on Monday. That game starts at 1 o'clock.
It's actually Friday and Sunday.
Friday and Sunday, sorry. They all start running together. Friday and Sunday.
But yes, lots of soccer.
Lots of soccer. All right, Ski. Well, last year in the MIW, your first season, probably not exactly how you want it to be, but everybody goes through some transition making these jumps. Talk a little bit about the MIW in a whole, because it's a really good women's soccer league to begin with.
Overall, the MIAA is a very competitive conference. Up and down, 1 through 12 is they're tough. Every game is a battle, and they're physical. They come out and play, and that's what we're going to look to do every game as well. There's no givens in any sport. We're a young, youthful team with not quite the experience that some of the teams have had in the past, but that's not a bad thing. We've got a fresh attitude, a good work rate, and they've done a good job of coming together on and off the field. So I think that's going to pay dividends in the long run for us.
I know you have a really young club this year, too. You return your top scorer, Bailey Cody, has been here since her freshman year. But tell us a couple names that we can expect to see on the stat sheet a lot this year.
Bailey Cody is returning. She's, in her 3 years here, has been one of our top leading scorers, 1 or 2 in her 3 years. She's also been named our team captain, and she's done some really good things to help these young players learn the ropes of college soccer. Danielle Torrey is another player for us that is a sophomore athletically only, but she was named a captain last year. That's what her teammates thought of her. So she stepped up in a good leadership role. She's a rock in the middle of the field for us, so I expect a lot out of her. Taylor Beanie in the back is coming into her senior year. She's a very athletic player and is one of those players that does a lot of work that sometimes goes unnoticed, but as soon as she leaves the field, that's when you start to notice her. So we're really looking to those three players and really excited about getting started on Friday.
You're right. Friday and Sunday. Friday, Lions take on Northwest Oklahoma State, and then on Sunday, University of Missouri, St. Louis, the Embassy Seats Classic here at Hunter Stadium. All right, now we go back down to the other soccer coach, Coach Hutter, the longest tenured coach here at Lindenwood. 20 years, Coach. Been here a long time. All right, Coach. Obviously, last year in your first year in the MIAA had lots of, you won the conference championship, lots of success, won the conference tournament. As a coach, how do you kind of, because you return a lot of players from a season ago, so how do you kind of temper their expectations, say, hey, that last year was last year, now we have to move on to this year?
Just learn from their experiences last year and try to work hard to improve their level. Hello?
Yeah, turn it. There we go. They didn't have microphones when you started at Lindenwood.
Yeah, we have a lot of people returning, and we've asked them, you grow during the out-of-season months for the 8 or 9 months looking to the new season, and we've just asked them to keep working hard to raise their level. And also, a little bit, when you win something the previous year, you get a little bit of a bullseye on your back, and you got to have some composure and attitude and strong efforts to raise your level and to do more. So we're asking them to do more this year and try to reach higher grounds. So we're looking for success, not only in our wins, but also in other areas on and off the field.
Like I said, Carl, you return a lot of players from a season ago. You return Freshman of the Year goalie Furman Hughes comes back. You return a couple of all-conference players. Tell us a few names that we can expect to see.
Well, I hate to sing respectfully to you. I hate to sing.
I knew you weren't going to like that question. I knew you weren't going to like that question.
Anyway, we have his brothers right here. We have Iris Nukic from Melville High School, who is a terrifically talented young man. He needed to raise his fitness and strength level, and he'd worked real hard. I think he did some of the training with his older brother, who played here a few years ago in the off season. But he's a very talented athlete, and we're looking for big things from him. But also, again, mainly just all of our players. We have probably another 7 or 8 or 9 players that could be starters at any time. So it's a team sport, and we're looking for all of them to push real hard for success. And we should be a lot of fun.
I knew you weren't going to like that question, but I had to ask you. You don't like to talk about people, do you?
Yes.
It's all about the team, right?
Collectively, I like to talk about them.
All right. Let's move over to Ron Young now, head women's volleyball coach. The Lady Lions on the road this weekend in Springfield for a tournament, and they return home for their first home match on September 10th against Illinois Springfield at the Highland Arena. And, Coach, you play in probably the toughest women's volleyball conference in the country, so you have your work cut out for you during the conference schedule.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, you're on.
We do. And it's the youngest team I've ever had here. We've got 9 freshmen, and of those 9, 4 are probably going to see a lot of court time. We've got 6 sophomores, so 15 out of our 19 healthy players are going to be seeing, 80% of those kids are going to be seeing the court. We're going to be led by our junior Emma Bridles, who's a setter, and we're counting on a lot of leadership from her, as well as kind of working well with those youngsters, kind of guiding them along the way through these matches. And then our lone senior that's going to be seeing a lot of court time is Megan Dillon, who's a local Francis Howell Central kid who we were very fortunate to get back in the NAI days. She just keeps bringing her game on. Hopefully she'll stay healthy this year. That was a big issue last year. Very first tournament we went to, she got injured and kind of joined us mid-season and finished up strong. But we look at it that our freshmen are very, very talented. it's just going to be that situation where, you know, they have no fear going to it. They have no memories of some of our bad memories of last year, especially against some teams that went on and played in the region championship. But we're really excited about working with these young ladies.
Talk a little bit about the conference. Like we talked about, I don't even know what the number of top 25 teams are in the conference are ranked. The conference is so tough and arguably probably the best women's volleyball conference in the country.
Yeah, along with the Northern Sun, who happens to be in our region, which I don't know who put that together, but, you know, the region championship is basically the national championship as long as the team that wins that doesn't, you know, move further and overlook, you know, finishing up the next 3 or 4 matches to win the championship. But our goal is that we finish kind of mid-conference this year, and once these girls get seasoned, along with our recruits coming in next year, that we get into that regional ranking, hopefully. But it is arguably, I want to say there's 5 or 6 teams in the top 20.
All right, September 10th, first home match against Illinois Springfield at Highland Arena. All right, let's go down now to Coach Ross. And first of all, yeah, Carl, you got to give that up. He doesn't need both.
I'm good.
Coach, it's surprising that already your 10th season, I think feels like yesterday in 2004. I remember that first game against Graceland. Nobody really knew who you were. The program was kind of, you know, but right away you made your mark, and it's unbelievable. It's been this your 10th season already.
Yeah, time flies. My son, who is head over heels and to tackle football himself right now, that very first game, he was a baby in my arms, and now he's a 5th grader throwing touchdowns.
Yeah, I think I interviewed you with him in your arms.
Yeah, it was because he made a sound on the post game show. He made a little baby noise on the post game show, and now he's out there running the sidelines with the guys at practice every day that he can be there. So it's been fun to watch my family grow here at Lindenwood. It's been outstanding.
Well, Coach, last year a great start to the time in the Division II level, an 8-4 record, make it to the Mineral Water Bowl. I know your answer to this, but do you think other people were surprised about how much success you had quickly as you did?
I believe so. You know, I think the big talk within our conference was it's a private Christian church school that's going to have trouble having success in this conference just because of all of the obstacles they've got to overcome. And you know, they were an NAIA school in the past, so they're going to have trouble getting the athletes in there they need. And so it was great for our kids to go out and make a statement right away, and we did it with what they would call NAIA kids. You know, we had 23 seniors on that team, which a lot of those guys are the guys that led us to the national championship game when they were freshmen, and they played when they were freshmen. So, you know, obviously trying to replace a lot of those guys is going to be very difficult, but I'm extremely proud of what we put on the field last year.
I'm not going to make you go through position by position and tell us the newcomers and who we can expect, but first of all, everybody in this room probably knows Andrew Helmick and Donasa Bryant, 2 guys you lose from last year's team who broke just about every record they could break. You know, Andrew was just a whisker away from making the St. Louis Rams. Donas had some time with the Indianapolis Colts. How do you replace 2 guys with that ability? I don't think you're going to say you can't replace them, but how do you try to replace them?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because actually about 9 years ago we were set with the same challenge, how you replace Dee Dee Dorsey. So we went out and recruited, and we've managed to find several backs over the last 10 years that can all play. You know, and most recently, how do you replace Donatas Bryant? I don't know if we can. We sure put our effort into it, and we've got some good players in the program and the system. But the reality is, you know, although we lose Andrew and Donatas, who are the best playmakers in Division II football, no question on my mind. You know, it's a new challenge for our football team because now we've got 5 other skill guys on the field, 4 receivers and 1 running back, and we get to find out who that next guy is. And now they're young. They are super young, and we're not very big at the skill spots on offense. And if you looked at last year, I think Donatas and Helmick scored 60% of our touchdowns. And if you added up all of our 4 starting skill guys and our tailback, I don't think they had as many touchdowns in their careers at Lindenwood as Donatas did last year or Helmick did last year. So, you know, we got some work to do, but I'm extremely excited to watch those guys play and watch those guys develop because I think we have some very good players over there.
Let's talk just a couple players, quickly go through some guys that we've never heard of before that we will be hearing starting tomorrow.
You know, I was just talking about we've got a great receiving core. We've got probably 7, and we've had great receivers. So we've had 4 receivers that have signed NFL contracts over the last 6 years. But I don't know if we were ever from top to bottom as deep as we are right now. We've got 6 or 7 guys that we feel we can put in the game and not miss a beat when they're out there. Again, the knock on them is they're small. We're going to be, we got a true freshman here, Tyran Taylor, who is an unbelievable football player, but he is literally 150 pounds. I mean, he is tiny in terms of football players, but he's a guy you never heard of, and I have a feeling he's going to be able to make some plays tomorrow. And a lot of those guys got overshadowed last year because of Donatus and Helmick. But we felt, we started two freshmen on offense. Jerron Alexander was a freshman, true freshman last year, and Sam Sealer was a redshirt freshman. Those guys started out there opposite of Andrew, and then Alex Robinson was also a starter for us in the slot last year. But early on in the year, you saw those guys make plays. Sealer scored touchdowns, Jerron scored touchdowns. Alex Robinson's been a great player for us for 2 years. But once Gomez, our quarterback, got hurt, we had to pull the red shirt off of our true freshman, Dylan Miller, who hadn't been practicing all year. He'd been sitting on the sideline signaling, so he wasn't even familiar with the offense that much. So we really redefined our offense midway through the year, and we were going to rely on our stars to get us through it. So everything was designed for Donatus and Andrew to help get us out of games and help us, stay competitive and have a chance to win them at the end. So those other guys, their roles just kind of dropped in the back. Hey, you guys got to block. You're not going to play as much. We got to find a way to get the ball in the hands of 5 and 15, Donatus and Helmick. So we were able to do that. But I think had we been able to continue to run our offense, we'd be more familiar with those other wide receivers that we have in our system and running backs. Marvin Bird, who's coming back for his 3rd year, he's been backing up Donatus for 2 years, so we're anxious to see live game time. How's he going to react to that? How's he going to handle the lights on him? So I'm excited to watch all of those guys develop within our system.
All right, thanks, Coach. We're going to open it up now to anybody in the crowd that's got some questions for any of the coaches up here. We'll make sure Carl knows how to turn the microphone on if you have a question for him. But anybody out there, just stand up and ask any coach you want a question about the upcoming season, some players, or anything got in your mind. Don't be shy.
Yeah, I was just going to actually make mention of that. We've been talking about offense, I think, because in the last 6 years we've been an offensive power. But really, right now, our strength as a football team is our defense. And so that starts with the guy that all the scouts are coming to see, Pierre Desir. He's special. He's a special specimen out there playing defense. The scouts like him because he's really what they would call long in football terms. He's a 6'2", 205-pound corner that's got over 20 picks in our league over the last 3 years. So it's been, we've had great players through here, and we'd get, 20, 25 scouts a year to come through and look at our players. But this year it's been amazing. We've only had 2 practices out of our 18 or 19 practices where we haven't had a scout. And usually it's multiple. Usually we'll have 5 or 6 scouts there on any given day to watch film and to watch practice. But they are there. They're there to watch Pierre Desir because he meets all of those NFL criteria that most of our other players hadn't met. They met it by being great players. He meets all the specs that they look for in a corner. So they've come through to take a look at him. And obviously, while they're there, they get a chance to see some of those younger classmen. And the guy that somebody asked me about the other day was Connor Harris, who's last year was true freshman linebacker and led our league in tackles. So he is an unbelievably special player as well. And I think if you looked at our top 3 defensive players, which would be Pierre, Connor Harris, and Chris Floyd, not necessarily in that order, if you look at those 3 guys, I think they're probably 3 of the top 10 to 15 players in our league, which is an outstanding league as well, like these other programs they have. So we've got a strong defense, and we're young over there too. If you looked at our 2 deep, we have between the 22 starting positions, 13 of them will be freshmen or sophomores. So we've got some definite growing to do over there, and we got to do it early.
Any other questions out there? I got a question for you, Coach Johnson. How the heck do you recruit field hockey? Because I didn't even know about field hockey until I started working at Lindenwood, and there's not too many field hockey programs in the St. Louis area. So where do you get all of your players from?
Well, Carl wants me to remind you that it's hockey, not field hockey. But we typically recruit a lot from the East Coast, West Coast a little more now as well. We have several girls from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New Hampshire. We have 3 or 4 from California this year. So it's definitely growing in the Midwest, but we try and travel a lot to 2 or 3 big tournaments a year, look at those really skilled club teams, and it's a lot of club recruiting instead of just focusing on high school. So. Well,
then my next question is for Carl then. Carl, where do you get your guys from?
Everywhere.
No, I mean, how do you get to the guys that you know, there's not too many St. Louis guys on your team that were born and raised in St. Louis, so a lot of your guys are from overseas. How do you, I'm always interested how you recruit those guys, because unless your recruiting budget is a lot bigger than all of these people up here, I'm sure you don't get to go to Europe very often.
Yeah, that's it for sure. Multi-million-dollar budget. No, we stay in touch with our alums, and long before I ever came to Lindenwood, there's been diversity at the university, and we have dorms, so you can bring people in locally, and we've always had a good collection of people locally, but we also stay in touch with our people, and they tell us about players. Some of them are involved in recruiting as a profession, but we just stay in touch, and people refer students to us, and we follow up on it. And you know, some of the local guys that have names sounding like they're from somewhere else really have been here since they've been early in grade school or really born here. But it's an international sport, and we recruit locally. There's a lot of people from around places in St. Louis and Chicago and different parts, Florida, coastal areas in the USA. But we just contacts and connections, and we follow up on them. And so it ends up, we have some kids that are students at the university that try out and make our team as well.
Any other questions out there? Mr. Arns?
I was going to ask about who has the highest team GPA up there in water, but I'm not going to ask that. What I'm going to ask is, what makes an athlete such a good student?
Actually, I mean, when you, from the time that you start recruiting people, you have to start talking about successes. And it's sexy to, you know, talk about winning national championships and winning more games than you lose and getting into the postseason. But when you recruit somebody, you have to emphasize the student-athlete part. And you also have to follow through when they're here. And the expectations are that you will follow through as a student-athlete. And sometimes if they're not, you know, performing off the field, you have to take the carrot away from them, which is their uniform, and hopefully that doesn't happen too often. But that's a daily deal that you communicate about being successful in the whole.
Question in the back there?
There may be 6 different answers for this, but looking back, the transition to Division II, what's the biggest adjustments you guys have had to make as a coach? I don't want to steal
You know, for us, from a rule standpoint, is just understanding what you can and can't do on a daily basis. And fortunately for us, our administration hired people to help us with that. So, you know, as far as infractions goes, we lucked out. We did a great job here, and we were always made aware of the rules from compliance. And we had a guidebook that kind of walked us through that process. But I think that's the toughest part. I still, to this day, if there's anything I don't know, I'll just call and ask, because I definitely don't know all the rules. Even if I know the rule, I still ask sometimes just to double check. But I think that was the biggest thing, is making sure that you know the paperwork you got to fill out and timelines and all that kind of stuff. Because in NAI, it was a much more loose. I mean, there was rules, but the rules were a lot more loose. You know, from an athletic standpoint, from football, you know, the biggest difference are the defensive fronts and the corners. That was the biggest difference we saw. Offensive linemen were all pretty, you know, they were pretty similar to NAI, maybe a little bit bigger and a little bit better, but not enough to make a difference. Offensive skill guys, really not much of a difference. The two best skill guys in LIAA, like I said a few minutes ago, were on our team than when we were in NAI. And then, you know, but the defensive fronts now, all of a sudden, you're getting a lot bigger and faster on those defensive fronts. And in the corners, you know, we're in NAI, we had, you know, from a lot of times from me to that camera to complete a pass because we got so much separation. And now this year, those passes had to be, you know, fit in there between coach and I. So the windows of opportunities for completions were a lot smaller. So your quarterbacks have to be more accurate because the corners in this league are better.
Ski?
I mean, every team you play has athletes. They're all bigger, faster, stronger, and we didn't have to memorize a book that was about like this. So the test is probably the biggest difference.
Anybody else? All right, I think we're going to wrap this up so everybody can get back to work. I know John and Sean want everybody to get back to work. So first of all, I thank all you guys for coming. I'd like to thank the coaches up here and wish you guys all good luck this season, and can't believe it already starts tomorrow. Thank you. So we'll remember to take a look at the website. We'll have the winter sports coaches luncheon and a spring one later down the road. So continue to watch LindenwoodLions.com for the dates. We'll do them all here at Tucanos, and we hope you enjoyed your meal and hope to see you all out at the football game tomorrow night as they're singing happy birthday over there. So have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow night.